On this video, I want to talk to you about perhaps the most important thing I could ever talk to you about, and the title is How to Improve Your Time Management Skills. Now, this is not a new idea, but what I have found as recently as today is that most people are frustrated and most people are challenged with the idea on even the concept of time management. So it's important to note that your time is the only gift that you have that you can create a life out of, right? And that would include a business. The time that we have is the time that we have, and we're not going to get any more, and we don't know when it's going to be over. And all we know is that the day starts and the day ends, and then the 24-hour clock resets. And what can we do to be more productive? That's the big question, right? Now, the reason I'm coming at this is because I believe, and I've watched it, I've watched marriages get wrecked because of time management not being understood. I've watched people work harder and longer to the point of exhaustion and stress when they don't really have to. I've watched people wait 20 years to get done in what they could have done in 2, 3, or 4 if they really understood this. I have a lot of people that come to our coaching company to be coached because something is not working in the area of time. It's that straightforward, right? And so the reason why I want to do this is because I want to talk about how do you marry up the idea that you can't even really manage time because time's a constant and manage is to change or manage the outcome of something. You can never change a minute and get 5 or, manage an hour and get 2. You just can't do it, right? So the only thing you can control is the decisions you make with the time that you have. And so to me, it's like, I want to go to the marketplace, and I want you to hear me real quick, real fast right now at the front end of this, and then I want to give you about 10 minutes with maybe 3 ideas on what you can do, okay? We had 1,300 mortgage professionals on a webinar just 7 days ago, last Wednesday. And during that webinar, I launched 3 polls, okay? And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you the number one answer to each of the polls, and the polls have 2 to 3 questions each. Okay, so listen carefully, and if you identify with any of these answers, you need to watch this video all the way to the end because I'm going to tell you how to make this happen. So poll number 1 was entitled the revenue poll, okay? So I asked, how much revenue would you realistically like to add in the next 12 months? The number one response, 1 out of 2 people on the webinar said $120,000. Okay? So the question would be, and they go higher from there, but just in that one, 1 out of 2, the question would be, what would you do with an extra $10,000 a month? Okay, that's poll number question 1. Poll 1, question 2. How much more would you like to make per hour? The largest response was adding $250 an hour. Okay, this is going to become very important when you understand what I'm going to do in this video, $250 an hour. So those are the 2 questions in the first poll. The second poll is the perfect week. How many hours per week would you like to work? The largest response, 47%, was 30 hours. Okay, so that's I like that, right? So what do we need to do to get a work week to 30 hours? Here is the second question of that poll. How many days per week would you like to work? And the number one answer to how many days per week, 56% of the respondents said 4. So for me, the perfect week would be 4 days. And then the question, third in that poll, was how many more loans per week do you need to hit this goal? And 43% said 5. Okay, so that's 60 loans a year. Poll number 3 was the lifestyle poll. Question 1, how many more weeks of vacation would you like to take per year? 51% said 4. Awesome. Question 2, how many more hours would you like to spend with your family every day? How many more hours would you like to spend with your family every day? The biggest response 30% said 4. So the reason I share these with you so far is because it's like data and you're falling into these categories. And then here's the final one. 41% to the question, within how many years would you like to have the option to retire? The number one answer was within 10. So I'm setting this up with you because this is what people are saying. And our plus and minus polling data is just like CNN's or USA Today. We've got enough people responding to these poll questions to tell you this is what the industry's thinking. So the 3 things that I would do to start to correct this. Number 1 is I would measure my hourly rate. I would get very clear very quickly on year to date, month to date, paycheck to date, how much am I averaging per hour? Because here's the drill. And I need you to hear this. I really do. I'm just going to slow down for a sec because this is what is going to buy your life back. This is what is going to buy your time back. This decision right here, the first question, changes everything. Everything. And so if I go back to that first poll and we talk about the $250 increase per hour, I want you to think that if that represents a tripling or a quadrupling of what you're already making, then you could understand how, if it was 4x what you're making, you could actually work less time, refocus attention to the money-making activities, and then do in 10 years what people take 40 years to do without recognizing this thing. I've consulted 3 guys and 2 women in the last week whose marriages are in trouble. And I'm telling you right now, it's not because they don't love each other. It's because of the pattern of abuse of time. It's promises made and not kept. It's events scheduled and not honored. It's promises that I'm going to change and no change. And I'm just going to read you a couple things real quick here because I want you to understand this is where my heart is. I spent an hour and a half 2 weeks ago with a top producer, and his marriage was in trouble, and so I sent him a pretty long text after our meeting, and a model on how to heal. And then this past Monday, I hadn't heard from him yet, and I said, "You went silent on me. Is everything okay?" And he goes, "My apologies." And I'm not going to say their names. My wife and I are 10x better. I laid out what my best life looked like with her and what I really wanted, and got her to do the same with me and what she really wanted. We are clicking on all cylinders all of a sudden. You look at that and you go, so this is somebody who starts to realize that we have got to get our dance together. We've got to get our dance together. And I have said forever that it does not matter how many hours you work. It matters what you earn in those hours. At the end of the day, in the world in which you and I live, that we are straight commission people, that's what matters. So let me go back to the polling question because I asked somebody, let me just give you the date real quick so that we can be spot on here. Okay, so this initial text was on, well, let me just tell you right now because I don't want to date the video. It was 1 week ago. And so I said to this guy, I said, "Hey, man, I'm doing something cool today. What was your hourly rate? What is your hourly rate year to date?" And he goes, "Hey, man, dropping the kids off at preschool. I'll calculate that for you as soon as I'm back. If that works, probably 30 minutes. And I said, "No problem at all." So then about an hour later, I get this number, $405.28 an hour. And then he said, just to remind you, when I began understanding the value of time, I was only earning $12 an hour. So I think if you do the math real quick and you take $12 an hour and you times it by 2,080 hours, I think it's like 25 grand a year. But if you take the same hours, just for a direct comparison, and you take 2,080 hours and you times it by $405 an hour, you're now at over $800,000 in income. So the first thing you have to do is you have to measure the hourly rate, and then you have to make sure that you're executing income-producing strategies. What's the second thing you should do? By 10 o'clock in the morning, you should do all of your prospecting and make all of your qualification calls and talk to every borrower you need to talk to and every referral partner you need to talk to. By 10 a.m., you should make your money for the day. I'm not saying stop making money at 10, but what I know is if you put making the money first and you put the blinders on, the code of silence, you get ready and make the calls and move people down the field a little bit, your conversion rate is going to be consistent. You're going to go home happy. You're going to do the most important things first before they get pushed aside and procrastinated on. And that becomes the revenue generating opportunity of the day. There's only 3 things a mortgage professional should be doing if he or she is in charge of originating loans and making it rain. Number 1 is talking with referral partners that can refer the buyers you need to talk to. That's number 1. Number 2, having the bulk of your day around borrower consultations where you can do the high trust interview, you can find out what people are looking for, and you can convert at a higher level. The third thing you should do is make sure your operational efficacy is off the grid, that the customer experience is off the charts. You should meet with your team in the morning, meet with your team in the afternoon. Those are the things you should be doing. And if you do that, and you do that consistently, the more time you do that per day, the more business you will get. So if I talk to 4 borrowers and convert 1, I get a deal. If it's worth $3,500 and I do that in an hour, I'm $3,500 an hour. But if I don't generate any revenue for the next 7 hours, then the $3,500 gets divided by the 8 hours and the revenue per hour goes down. So the more you do the things that generate the highest revenue in the time you have, the better off you're going to be. So that's the second thing. The third thing is to begin to look at the attitudes of your business that aren't getting addressed. One of them happens to be the nurturing of your database. And what I want to talk to you about time efficiency on your database, and we've got a bunch of other videos on that, is the more that you work your database, the more your database works for you. And the reason why this is important is the highest conversion referrals you'll ever get are the referrals coming in from buyers that have used you previously. The lowest conversion is talking to a buyer that you get a lead gen, alert on, and you call them without any, previous knowledge of who they are, not any direct referral to them. If I'm working with a financial planner and the financial planner tells a client to call Todd, he's the guy I use for all my clients for mortgages. He's going to do the best job for you, give you the best advice, and recommend a mortgage plan that we can manage together. That referral is going to convert at a much higher level. So when you take conversion up, you work less hours. Like if I have 4 borrowers and I convert 1, that's great. Half hour each, that may take 2 hours. Well, what if I want to double my loans per day? Well, I can either talk to 8 people, add 4, that takes now 4 hours, and leave the conversion at 25%, but I still get 2 loans. Or I could keep the 4 during the 2 hours. Instead of going to 4 hours, I could take the 4, 30 minutes each at 2 hours, and convert at 50. So now I get 2 loans for the same 4 hours instead of adding 4 more hours to get 2 more. See what I'm doing? And so what would happen if you got to a point where, 3 out of 4 at some level apply and close 90% of the time? You're now 4 hours, but you're getting 3 loans. At $3,500 each, you're making $14,000. And so $14,000, if you divide it by 4 hours, that's pretty good hourly revenue, right? So $3,500 an hour, that's pretty cool. If we don't make any more money for the rest of the day, we're at $1,750 an hour for the whole day. That's a good hourly rate. This guy's only at $405. So do this, okay? I want you to become vigilant. I want you to start looking at where your time is going. We know right now that only 2% of loan officers do a monthly time journal to find out where their hours are going. If you don't do the time journal, you're not going to figure out where you're spending time that you aren't generating top line revenue that maximizes the hourly rate. It's that straightforward. It's that simple. If we can help you, come to toddduncan.com. Let us help you win. If you want to download some of the documents on how to get conversion up faster, they're there. One is called the High Trust Interview Guide, and one is called Talk Less, Sell More. We're here to serve you. My social handle is Todd Duncan Official. Reach me anywhere on any social platform with that, except for Twitter, which is Todd's Tweets. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you win. This video is the game changer for you.